Hey guys, what's going on? Inception here, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be looking at the best midfielders to use for Futchamps. Now, when I made the last video, right, I felt like when I make those videos, I felt like it would kind of be a little bit obvious that when I talked about the players, it's just the players that you need to be looking for and what makes players bad and what makes players good. So I always try to explain this, like just because I don't put a player that, because you guys, even in this video, there's gonna be midfielders that you don't see here that you would like to be reviewed, right? There's gonna be players here that you're gonna see, right, that I'm gonna review and I'm gonna talk about them, and not all of them, right? But we're just gonna be talking about the characteristics that make a player good and bad, right? Now, obviously, right off the bat, I have to explain that none of these players, right, are the full meta until, right, you get, because like not before, right, in the old FIFA days, if you get rare gold cards, right, there are a lot of rare gold cards that could be a good meta, right? Now obviously with EA nowadays, they want to make the legends the most the players that are the best, right? So like the Michael Ballocks, the Patrick Vieiras, so on and so forth, right? But just because these players aren't the full meta doesn't mean you can't work around what makes them good and bad. Are they good players? Yes. Are they? Can there be bad players? Yes. Right. There's always going to be that situation when choosing it between players, but certain characteristics of players you will notice when they don't have certain characteristics that will make you play better in the game, right? For instance, if you have like a Rude Hullet as a CDM, yes, he's high medium work rates, right? But he makes up for it in everything else because he's literally good at everything else. So, if you find yourself in a situation where you can shoot with his left foot and, he can do it. If he's on a finesse shot, it's, your CDMs are part of the buildup. Even if you tell him to stay back while attacking, they'll still push forward because it doesn't mean low, high, right? Like Makalele. Makalele barely pushes up, but he still does it because low doesn't mean never, right? But someone like Rude Hullet, given any situation you put them in, he's probably going to be really good. Same thing with Michael Ballack, right? Michael Ballack is pretty much good at doing everything. So like if we look at Michael Ballack's card, when we describe players, right, I'm talking about it in the full, excuse me, we're talking about it in the full meta sense, right? Because in FIFA, right, the only way to beat your full competitive capacity in this game is to have all of the best players in this game, right? That's the only true skill, right? That's why FIFA is the way it is, right? Aspects that are missing about Rude Hullet is his agility and balance, but obviously he makes up for it in everything else. 6'2", medium high work rates, 4-star, 4-star. He can shoot the ball, pass the ball, win the ball in the air, so on and so forth, right? He's basically the full meta. Now, just because you can't afford a Michael Ballack doesn't mean you can't do well with other players, right? You just can't play to your full potential, right? And that's the difference between the cards. But we are going to be reviewing what makes the players good and what characteristics of cards make them bad, but they need other stats that make them good, right? So, for instance, people usually use players like Rabiot as a CDM. People have been using, obviously like Conte. Right now on my team, I am using like Ndidi. Now, obviously, if we look at cards like Ndidi, there's a lot of things that's missing with the card, right? So if we look at Ndidi's card, we have the fact that his agility and balance isn't great, right? His dribbling stats isn't great, and his shooting stats isn't great, and he also can't do anything with his weak foot in regards to shooting because of the low finishing. His passing is okay. I noticed that his passing is not too bad, but there are a lot of things that is missing with the card. But as a cheap alternative, he's a good card, right? But again, you're going to be missing a lot of different aspects with him, right? But does he have the medium high work rates? Does he have the height for the CDM position? 4-star weak foot's pretty nice to have. So yeah, as a cheap option, it's pretty good because if you look at Ndidi's card on the market, he costs like 2,500 coins, right? So 2,500 coins is not a lot of coins. It's not expensive at all, right? So you can use him, but again, you will be missing certain aspects of his card. Now, what makes someone like Conte better than Ndidi? Now, obviously, Inception. He's 89 rated. He has better stats. Yes, that is the case, right? But sometimes the cheaper options are actually is just better than the more expensive options. For instance, right? Conte costs 400k versus Alan, who costs a measly, that's his Champions League cards are 20k, right? Okay, so this is his Champions League card, 20k for the Champions League card. But look at the stats that he has on this card, right? He has everything needed except for the jumping and physical presence to be a really good card. Why? Because he has 81 acceleration, 71 sprint speed, 83 agility, 80 balance. So those four stats together for midfielders is very important, right? Because it allows your player to move left and right smoothly, right? To transition while defending, especially with a shadow card that increases his certain defensive things like interceptions, marking, sliding tackle, blah blah, right? The card is awesome, right? And in terms of it being more affordable than Conte, at times this card will feel better than Conte in game, right? Because it's not worth spending 400k on someone like Conte, but at the same time it is. I'll explain why, right? Because the Serie A, right, doesn't have a lot of meta players. For instance, if you use a 4-2-3-1 wide and you're using left mids and right mids, so for instance, if you're using Keita Balde has certain aspects of his card that's missing. Perisic and Douglas Costa are the only good left mid options. With those cards as your left mid options, you're still missing certain aspects of the card, right? So that's why Alana is a good card too, right? So Conte being, sorry, I was like hearing something, right? Conte is really, really expensive. Sorry, I just keep hearing people, that's why. Yeah, he's really, really expensive, right? So 400k is a little bit ridiculous for him. It's very, very pricey. But again, the reason why Alon costs less than Conte is because of the nationality, right? And the league. The league is the biggest one. So someone like Conte in the EPL has tons of meta players, tons. The only thing that I would say that the EPL is lacking in is very good midfielders, right? Because there's always certain things that are missing about their cards. For instance, if you could set the work rates of Herrera to be one of your CDMs, he would be really good, right? But because he's high work rates, you can only use him as a center mid. But as a center mid, not necessarily ideal. I don't really like using him too much as a center mid, right? But I digress, right? So CDMs, that's what you look for. Conte, has the acceleration, sprint speed, agility, balance, defensive stats, physical stats to move left and right, transition really well. But he is also 5'6". So if you come up against people who are physical in the midfield, he's not going to do that well against them in terms of the physical battles. But on the ball, he'll be moving really quickly, and his passes will also be very good as well because he has 86 short passing and 81 long passing, right? So a good card regardless, a good CDM, but the height, I'm going to stress it, the height is such a huge stat or a huge presence in the game. Being tall is really, really important. You can have someone like Arnautovic as a striker, and he will play better than Aguero. People will be like, whoa, Arnautovic better than Aguero? I'm telling you guys, man, physical presence is everything in this game. Dribbling quickly, if your game feels sluggish, it's not going to do anything for you. Is Arnautovic going to feel more sluggish in the sluggish gameplay? Yes, but he will win those physical battles you need him to win, right? So that's what the midfielders in the CDM position. CDMs, there are no good options, right, for cheap. Alana is the best one, in my honest opinion, because Conte is good, but Conte is also 5'6", and Alana is 5'9", right? Yeah, 3 inches taller, right? But makes a huge difference, right? With his stats and the price. The price is the biggest one, right? Alana is the best one. But what is Alana missing? He's missing the height, right? Does he have the jumping? No. Does he have the heading accuracy? No. So that's a certain element of your gameplay that you're now missing, right? But he's the best one. You can't, there are no good CDMs in FIFA in terms of work rates and specific stats until you get to the legends, right? Someone like Paul Pogba is a fantastic card. Does he have 69 defending? Yes. But the card itself, right, is incredible. This card is one of the best midfielders in the game. Why? Because the height is 6'3", 4-star weak foot, 5-star skill moves, right? Decent on the ball. Can shoot the ball. 73 finishing for someone you're going to be playing in the midfield or the CDM area. Pretty decent, right? 87 composure, right? All these different things. 89 strength with the height. The height is the biggest thing because I've noticed personally that Paul Pogba in the CDM position plays better than Fabinho even on high-low work rates, right? because of the way he compensates for the lack of good work rate he has in the CDM position, right? High low work rates isn't the best. Is it noticeable? It is, but it's not noticeable a lot because he seems like a hardworking player in game, right? Because he also does have 90 stamina, so he moves up and down the pitch really nicely, and he's pretty good for the entirety of the game, right? But you know, someone like Fabinho lacks in the weak foot, lacks in the skill moves, lacks in the good shooting department, the good dribbling department, passing department. Like, you have to have stats that make up for the stats you don't have, right? And that's what you have to deal with when you don't get the legends yet, right? If you get someone like Patrick Vieira, he's missing the weak foot. In terms of the perfect aspect, he's missing the weak foot, and he's missing. I think it may be the shooting stat. I think it was the shooting stat. Every stat is relevant. Is the main reason of these cards to defend? Absolutely. Ooh, he has 80 shooting nowadays. Okay, I take that back, because his shooting used to be like 75 back in the day, right? So it wasn't like at the top notch yet, but yeah, this card's fantastic. Thing about Patrick Vieira is that he does have the 3-star weak foot. It would be nice to have the 4-star weak foot, but you can't have everything to be perfect, right? So this is obviously one of the most ideal CDM cards, right? Let's see at midfielders, right? So work rates in the CDM era, you try your best to get medium high. That's what I would say, right? Medium would be okay. It's a little bit odd. It's a weird work rate. I would not use medium high for both of them. More ideal than anything, right? But yeah, medium, high medium. It really depends on the characteristics of your player, right? Because he will be attacking more than he'll be defending. Same thing with Paul Pogba. But you have to have characteristics that kind of push them back as well, right? So that's pretty much over the CDMs, right? Now, center mids is a big one, because center mids, high work rates for me is the best one, right? Because the way that they move around the pitch is just significantly better than, you know, people who are high medium or, you know, high low or whatever, right? Because having a presence on the attack and on the defense, very important, right? You also need someone that has good stamina, like Renato Sanchez. This is his Champions League version of his card. 90 stamina, right? Can push up, can come back really nicely. He has the pace, he has the dribbling aspect of having good balance and agility, so left and right transition will be very good with him. Defensive stats are not completely there, but he's a physical, strong player. Like, he is 5'9", but that aggressiveness towards getting the ball back, this card will be very good for you. And you could give him a shadow card, right? His shooting being on 70 finishing and 69 composure, don't get me wrong, not great. But if you're using him as a CDM with high work rates, he could be okay. He could be, only because of the high work rates, right? But his dribbling will be okay, right? It's worth trying the card out, but his composure is significantly low. Again, I'm not going to be reviewing all these cards, just talking about characteristics. Tolisso, you can use Tolisso as a CDM, but the high medium, right? High medium, I tried that last year as well. High medium is not an ideal work rate to have in the CDM position, right? But he is a very good card. If Tolisso was medium high, I would switch to a triple Bundesliga team so quickly. When I say triple Bundesliga team, I mean that triple hybrid, right? So like, we're talking about like that Tolisso, Boateng, Alaba triple link in the 4-3-2-1 to get that full chemistry. I would do it in a heartbeat, because, you know, if he was medium high instead of high medium, he'd be awesome. But high medium is the downfall of this card, right? But is it a good card? Yes. But that work rate really screws him. Really screws him. But still, regardless, a very good card. Goretzka is awesome. I've tried Goretzka already, and I think he's a fantastic card, right? If you're using him as a center mid, high work rates, right? He has the pace to push up, come back. He has the agility that makes up a little bit for the heights that he has, 6'2". He has the agility a little bit. For a CDM, it's not too bad, because the acceleration and sprint speed will outweigh the agility and the bounce a little bit because it's so high. And if you give him a shadow card especially, it'll be very good. But maybe an anchor might be okay too, because you may want to increase that jumping a tad bit, because 67 jumping isn't great, but he is 6'2", so he will still win the ball. That's the crazy thing, right? Like, if you have 62 jumping, but you're 6'2", and you're 5'9" with like 85 jumping, the Goretzka is still going to win the ball most of the times, right? Because of that height that he already has. He doesn't need to jump that high because he's already 6'2". Characteristics like that, right? So Goretzka as a center mid, very good. High work rates, right? He has the acceleration and sprint speed to make up for a little bit of the lack of balance and agility, but a very good card, right? It's kind of, like I said, it's a similar situation with Herrera, but Herrera, if we look at Herrera's card, he doesn't have the acceleration sprint speed to make up for the rest of his card. If he did have the acceleration and balance, or the acceleration and sprint speed, he would actually be a way better card. And I think he would be one of the better center mids in the game. But it's good that his acceleration is better than his sprint speed, because acceleration is more important than sprint speed in this game, in my opinion. But obviously, it would be good if you had both. But yeah, Dele Alli, I've used Dele Alli. I think Dele Alli is a really fun card to use. I've used him as a center mid, and, you know, his physical presence, very noticeable. But, you know, when he's high medium and he has 75 pace, not ideal, right? Because he's going to be more attacking than he is defending. Would it be worth using Dele Alli as a CDM? Potentially, because, you know, having someone who's 6'2", physical presence, but doesn't have good defensive stats, it's something you got to try out, right? It could be like a lower tier version of Pogba's card, so it could still potentially be very good, right? Trying to see if I can remember any other aspects that make players good and bad. So obviously, like, the basic thing is you need the height, and you need, well, the biggest thing is, like, who's the closest player to, like, being very good. So obviously, like, if you see Patrick Vieira, he has everything. He has the pace. I'll explain the situation to you. You need the pace so that if a player is in front of you, or has passed you, you need to be able to catch up to them. With Patrick Vieira, he has 85 acceleration, 82 sprint speed, 74 agility. Is pretty decent for someone who is 6'4", with 93 aggression. 93 aggression with good pace and a CDM who's big in game, he'll be they dig. It's kind of like they dig to get that ball back, right? So that's why Patrick Vieira is good. That specific mechanic is huge, right? And then obviously his tackling in general is going to be just phenomenal, right? Because he's just a beast. I've used Patrick Vieira, man, and the difference it makes when you get someone like Patrick Vieira is huge, man. It's huge, dude. It's so big compared to, like, Conte's and stuff. It's insane how big it is. I think he costs probably like 3 million nowadays. Ooh, 3.4, 3.5. Yeah, he's pretty up there in the price. He's definitely pretty up there. But dude, you get that card's gonna be insane for you, right? Let's see. So certain characteristics. If you have Ndidi, his dribbling is terrible. It's terrible. It's not good at all. I hate his dribbling. I use him on my team, but I hate his dribbling so much because it's not responsive, right? So if you look at Patrick Vieira's dribbling, you got a little bit of responsiveness on the card, because he's got dribbling, he's got the composure. If someone's trying to challenge him, he has the composure to push the guy off, right? But Ndidi, oh man, his dribbling is, you know, his dribbling is not very good, right? So that's something you're going to be lacking in. Shooting and passing, you can't shoot with this card. If you shoot with this card and you score, it's because you're lucky. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. If you get a finesse shot around the goalkeeper, it's just because you're lucky. Because finishing being 85 with 84 composure is already pretty bad in this game, because the 1v1 finishing is still a little bit shot. So with Ndidi's card, you can't, that's a missing part of your gameplay right away. So if you get into a position, this is the biggest one, because this is what people don't get. When you're using 4-2-3-1, if you have CDMs that can finesse shot it, very, very, very big part of your gameplay. Because when you tell your CDMs to stay back while attacking, they still push up a little bit. So when you pass the ball off to them, I find myself in so much space with my CDMs, and the opponent literally does not push because he knows that Ndidi is shit, right? So that's like a big thing, right? Fabinho, same thing. Fabinho doesn't have a weak foot, so when I play him as a left center defensive mid, I can't do that near post finesse shot, but I can do the cut inside finesse shot, but it still won't be very good, right? That's where Pogba comes in, and he's a little bit better, right? Because although his finishing is 73, it doesn't need to be high in the finishing department when it comes to finesse shots. That shot power and that composure with pressure on him is more important than that finishing outside the box. The finishing is more for the inside the box stuff, right? So, you know, big thing there as well. But that's why it's very important for your CDMs to just be good at everything, because you don't want them to just be good defensively, and then when they're pushing up, which they will still do, they're just awful, right? So I think I kind of went through what makes the players good and bad. I know people are going to want me to review Milinkovic-Savic. Like, Savic is really, really bad in the pace and the agility and balance department, like really, really bad. But again, his movement, garbage. But what does he make up for, right? He makes up for the fact that he is a high medium center mid, 4-star, 6'3" with 85 jumping, 86 heading accuracy. So, you know, if you have the tactic of wanting to cross the ball into the box and for your players to head into the back of the net, this is your guy right here, right? This guy is going to be able to do that a lot because crossing is very effective in this game, right? 82 composure, 80 finishing. So he's not a perfect card, right? But it doesn't make him completely shit. It just makes him a lower tier compared to a lot of other players, right? Same thing with Nangolan. If you look at Nangolan's card, Nangolan is a good card, right? More as a center mid than he is a left center than a CDM. But you know, if he had the 4-star weak foot, this card would be incredible as a center mid, right? Because if you use him on the right side in the center mid position, you can only do the long shots across goal and the near post finesse shots. If you use Nangolan as a left side, you have to cut inside to do the finesse shots, and the inside near post, he may do an outside the foot. I'm not sure, but the inside the foot would be very inconsistent. I'm pretty sure he would do inside the foot and just curving inside rather than curving outside. Very, very different types of shots, right? But yeah, I think that pretty much concludes it. I didn't really review everybody, but it's just to give you guys an idea. These are the players that most people use in their teams in terms of like the cheaper options. So these are just suggestions you guys should look into for players that are pretty decent. So hope you guys enjoyed this video today. If you guys enjoyed it, please drop a thumbs up on it. Definitely helps out the channel a lot. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Love you guys.